Hi, Sharks. Happy Money Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. And you're tuning in for our second round of how to build your credit. So, this is Credit Scores Part 2. Um, so, Part 1, we talked about getting a zero interest card and consolidating some credit so that you would have time interest free to pay down debt. We talked about if becoming an authorized user on accounts, things like that. We're going to talk about some things that don't necessarily they don't have as high of an impact, but they can help with your credit score. So something that will have a high impact is checking your credit report and making sure that everything on there is correct. And if there is an error on there, I want you to dispute it. So your credit report will have the information that you need in order to dispute it. So a way that this could really help is if someone is reporting that you missed a payment, but you actually made those payments and you have proof. That could drastically change your report because one of the highest factors in your credit report is paying things on time. So if you have missed payments, delinquencies, that can have a big negative effect on your credit. So another thing that you can do is look into anything that you have in collections on your credit report. So this is a little bit harder, and this is going to involve some time. Not a whole lot of time, right? But it is going to take some effort, right? So I want you to go through your credit report, look for any collections that you might have, and I want you to call up the companies and try to negotiate with them. A lot of times you can negotiate with them for a much smaller settlement number because they want to get something. They want to get paid. And a lot of times they will take a significantly less amount for you to pay that off. And you can actually request that they stop reporting it on your credit report. It's not a guarantee that they will, but a lot of times you can actually ask them to take it off your credit report and they will. Another thing is fraud. I want you to look for fraud on your credit report. This has actually happened to me, and I have personally had to have I had identity theft, and I had to go on my credit report and look up different like loans that were taken out and things in my name. And I went and I disputed them. And I knew that it was not me. And so I reported it as fraud, and it had to be removed from my credit report. So a lot of times that involves you filing a police report, which if you've got to file a police report, file a police report. In most chances, they will not actually find the people. So there's not a lot of feeling of justice there. So I'll tell you what happened to me. I got a credit card. I was waiting for my new card in the mail. It didn't arrive. And I didn't think anything of it. I just thought it was taking a little bit of time. And then I get a call from my bank, and they're like, "Are you standing in," I don't even remember. I think it was Best Buy. "Are you standing in Best Buy right now trying to make a $2,000 purchase?" And I was like, "No." And they were like, "Well, someone has your card." And they stole my mail and were able to activate it without without having my information. They just were able to go in and swipe. And they had run up about like $5,000 or $7,000 within like the 3 days that it took my bank to catch it. Now, when that happened, the bank was like, "Okay, we are going to need for you to file a police report so that we have it on file, and then we can remove it from, we'll dispute all of these and we'll make sure that it doesn't hit your credit. You can also, if something gets stolen, let's say your social security number gets stolen, you can actually you can put a freeze on your credit so that nothing can be opened using your social security number, using your name. So make sure that you're looking for instances of fraud, instances of identity theft, and that you're taking the steps to remove them from your credit report. I will tell you another story that happened to me again. So my mother actually was carrying my social security card. I was younger and she was carrying my social security card on her, and she got mugged on the subway, and they stole it was mine, my sister's, a bunch of people in my family. My mother was holding on to their social security numbers in her purse, because at that time we had just been living in a domestic violence shelter. We were like carrying important paperwork on us all the time. And someone stole my mom's purse on the subway. They thankfully, they did not hurt her, but they did take her purse, and in it, all of our information. The second that she got off that subway, she called all of the credit bureaus and reported that to them, and they put a hold and a freeze on our credit, on our social security number, so that things could not be opened without us being notified. So no one was able to use our social security numbers for any type of identity theft. I want to talk about something very briefly. There are companies that are that say they'll sell you a CPN. Have you ever heard of that? It's called a CPN is a credit privacy number. Do not buy a CPN from anywhere. This is a scam. What happens generally with those numbers? So basically they tell you, if you don't want to use your social security number because you have really bad credit, you can buy a different number from us, and you won't have to give your social security number. You can give this person, you can give this number instead, and this number will have a good credit score or like no credit score. And so you can build credit under this new number. Do not do it. You can become entangled yourself in identity theft, because what happens are usually these numbers are kids or people that are dead, and you are buying their social security number, and you are using either a dead person's social security number or a child's social security number, and you are ruining it for them. So you could become a part of a major identity theft, and you can be held liable for this. So if you went into it knowingly, and you just don't want to be the reason that a small child, they grow up and all of a sudden they realize, somebody stole my identity and now I can't get a car, I can't buy a house, I'll never be able to. I'm going to have to try to fix this my whole life because it's been sold to God knows how many people. So please, if somebody offers to sell you a CPN, it's not something that you want. You do not want to get involved in that. What else can you do? Okay, so another way that you can build credit, right, is to ask the credit reporting agencies. There are different ways to do this, but basically they can count your rent payments towards your trustworthiness to pay. They can count if you pay your rent on time. There are actually companies that will report that to the credit bureaus so that you have that as a positive thing on your credit report. You can do that these are credit reporting services, and you can find some of them just by doing like a Google search, make sure it's legit. But they'll do it for utilities, Make sure that you're paying your cell phone bill on time, because a lot of times that is reported to the credit bureaus. But utilities, rent, things like that. And you can even use something called Experian Boost. It'll help, but kind of like not in a huge way. It's not going to be it's not going to make a huge difference on your credit score, but it can help. With Experian Boost, you link your bank accounts to the service, and then it scans for payments to things like streaming services and your phone or utility bills. And that will actually, you can choose which of the payments that you want to add to your credit report. And if whoever you're trying to get the loan through, or you're trying to get the to check your credit score, if they use Experian, that will show up and that will count positively towards your credit score. So those are the tips for today. We'll talk a little bit more next week. I actually want to teach you how to read your credit report and the different things to look at. So if you want to, you are entitled, so you should do this anyway, you are entitled to a credit report from each of the different agencies, one per year. And you can go to the individual agencies themselves and pull it from there, or you could do something like Credit Karma and pull a credit report. But come next week with your credit report, and then let's look at it together. And I will show you how to read it, how to look at it, what are the different things that you should be looking for, and the different things that you might not notice, and things that you could potentially dispute. And I would love for you to be part of the conversation, and for you to come ask questions. I'm always here. I'm always available to answer. So that is it for tonight. I will see you next week, and we'll talk a little bit about credit reports. And I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, or if you have any specific topics you want me to touch on, if you have any topics in between now and next week relating to your credit report, or even something else that you just want me to go over, I'm here for that. So if you're watching this now or on the replay, please let me know. Share this with anyone who needs to hear it. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. I'm available via Instagram, financial_sharktress, on Facebook, Financial Sharktress Galit Sadiq, in my Righteous Revenue Fishbowl Facebook group, and on YouTube, Financial Sharktress Galit Sadiq, and by email, galit@financialsharktress.com. So, got no excuses. You know how to reach me. I'm here to answer. Have an amazing night, everyone. Happy Money Monday, and I'll see you next week. Bye, Sharks.